Hello and welcome to Boomer Live. Today we are here to talk about the game between Punjab Kings and the Chennai Super Kings. It was Chennai who won the toss and put Punjab into bat. Punjab managed to score a score of 180, but Punjab got off to a iffy start. But from there on, it was Liam Livingston who had a really good day out to bat. And Chennai Super Kings in return only managed to score 126, and Punjab won by a mammoth 54 runs. I have Nikhil joining me to talk about the game. Nikhil, your initial thoughts on the game, because this was one of those games where Liam Livingston arrived in the IPL because you always knew his name, but
Yep.
this game he totally owned it. You can say he got a little bit of chance, but then yeah, he totally made use of it.
Yes, I think this was the day that we were waiting for. We discussed about Livingston having to come good because he is somebody who can do that role for his son, and he did it all. He played a very good innings. Then he came on to bowl and took crucial wickets. So you could not have asked for a better day as an all-rounder, and a good win for Punjab. I think no due made a massive impact into how Chennai planned about their batting, but I think
Right.
even before they got to a stage about Dew coming into the picture, they had already lost 5 wickets. So, and with no Dew, it was only going to get more harder because I mean you saw spin bowling in the last 6 7 overs. So that just tells you how much control that they were able to impart on the ball. That somebody like Livingstone could bowl 2 overs in that period, and he bowled well, of course, but it always helps that once you are down so much in the early stages of the game that it's very hard to come back from there.
Right, absolutely. One thing which was quite impressive of the Punjab batting was the way at which they were playing. They were two down within the power play. They were 17 for two. But from there on, they just had this philosophy that they will go all out at it. How impressed were you with that kind of strategy or philosophy? Because last match we did criticize them for the same reason as well. Because on a bad day, they might get all out for 130 as well if you take a similar approach. But on a good day, if it comes off on a good deck, it'll definitely look like they do not mind losing wickets. They can just keep playing at that same tempo, isn't it?
Yeah, again, and as we said, it is about finding that right tempo. Do feel there that Chennai really came back very well with the ball. Dwayne Pretorius, Chris Jordan, and even Dwayne Bravo bowled very well to keep them to just a score of 180. So, because I think they only gave 72 runs in the last 10. So, there were enough signs for also Chennai maybe to pick up that batting is going to get a bit more harder as the game goes on. But I think even before Chennai could put a foot into the game, they kept losing wickets at regular intervals. And as we discussed, once you lose so many in the power play, you're going to play a lot of catch up. And kudos to Punjab because they made two crucial changes, Vaibhav Arora and Jitesh Sharma, and they both came good for them. So
Absolutely.
again, as we said, new ball bowling is everything. For the change, Chennai also took new ball wickets, but I think they just had no answer to the way Livingstone came good.
Yeah. Someone is a big Suresh Raina fan for sure. But then one another point which the same person has raised is about Rajvardhan Hangarkar. Do you really reckon it's time to look into this lad because he had an impressive 119 World Cup? He's known for hitting the ball big as well. And Mukesh Chaudhary, it could be a little harsh on this lad, but then he just didn't look like he can definitely pick wickets. Though he picked up wicket of Mayank Agarwal, who played a really poor shot out there. But other
Yeah.
than that, he was balling those lengths, which just said like, "Hit me, please," isn't it?
Uh, Again, I think it's too early to judge youngsters based on 2 to 3 games. These guys haven't played enough games in the first place to really learn on the go. And I think people are talking about moving on from MS Dhoni, and you want people to bring back Suresh Raina. I think we need to be far more practical in terms of what is more likely to happen, and you have to show patience. Teams have lost 2 to 3 games at the start, more than 4 games at the start, and still manage the way to come back. So
Right,
I think it is fine to lose, but the problem for Chennai has been when the batting is split, the bowling hasn't. And today, when the
right.
bowling came back so well, the top order had no option, no alternative to the way Punjab bowled at them, and they were really very outbowled, to be very honest, in the first 6 overs.
Right. Just talking about the pitch right now. Do you reckon 180 was a good score on this pitch, or they were below par? Because At the start of the innings, commentators and everybody out there were saying this is a 200, 210 kind of a pitch. On that regard, Chennai did a good job in restricting this team to 180 because, from if they wouldn't have got Liam Livingston, they could have possibly ended at 210 or 220, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly what I said. I think everybody started with 210 because they felt that Dew will come into the picture. But with no Dew, 180 was a pass score, if I would say that. Uh, and Chennai should have actually backed themselves far more than they did. I think Simon Dool, I think, pointed out very well on air that every batsman played a very tentative shot. The top order, they were
Right.
very hesitant in terms of, okay, how do we go about it? Yes, the ball is doing a bit again. And that's what we've been discussing in almost all our lives, that it is the new ball that is doing the damage for both teams, whether it is batting first or batting second. And people are not able to adapt, or they're not able to find a phase where, okay, you are quite, like, say, take for example the Robin Uthappa dismissal. Just a ball prior to that, he had hit a nice boundary. So
Right.
again, he then came down and tried to hit a shot, which is obviously we don't know what he was thinking, but
Mm.
when it doesn't come up, it looks as if you are in a hurry. So, and again, we saw the same happening with Moeen, that the ball was so far. He just held his bat out. He could have easily just went too hard or smashed it. Maybe the
Right.
inside would have missed the stumps in that case. And same was the case with Jadeja, that he got one that came in and you had no clue. So it's very tricky, but I think Chennai are probably finding ways to get into difficult situations, which I think can happen for any team that is looking, that has enough holes that can be
Right.
exploited, and teams are finding that out very easily for Chennai.
And we have another question as well. How deep is Deepak Chahar's void? Because we spoke about this earlier as well. When you have someone who's of that stage who has done consistently well for Chennai, picking the new ball wickets and also giving that batting option as well. How deep do you reckon this is? Because and him, even if he comes back, do you really reckon that he can be in full fitness and that full rhythm as soon as he gets back, or is it going to take a longer period of time? And it's going to really cost them a top four.
I think that is something that we will only know when he's back, because I don't think he'll risk being half fit. So, and I don't think Chennai will risk him as well, because you would rather have him for at least whatever games left in full fitness than have him for 2 games and then lose him again. So, I think that is something that I don't think Chennai will try out.
Right.
But definitely he is a big miss, and it's very strange because these are the kind of teams when they on paper they make no sense, but when they end up winning a title, you are like, okay, there is something that we don't understand about this game, but it is working for them. So that is the risk with such size, that when it clicks, everything looks wonderful, but when it doesn't, everything is going to look very horrible. So
Right.
uh, this is probably shaping like 2020, but I don't think it will end up like 2020, because see, it is the top order. It was Faf and Rutraj with the
Watson.
bat. Now, Gaikwad is not scoring runs with the bat. That is going to make a very big impact. And then you're missing a key new ball bowler. So I'm sure any team right now, if you take out their top two, both with the bat and ball, then you are going to find them struggling for runs and wickets both, obviously.
Right, rightly pointed out that one. Now let's talk about Kings, Punjab Kings. I always talk about them
Yeah,
as Kingston and Punjab for some reason. I don't know why. Let's talk about the Punjab Kings.
yeah.
Punjab Kings, of course, as we already discussed about their impressive philosophy. Now there's a conundrum for them, and today they didn't play Johnny Bairstow. Do you reckon they'll stick with this 11 going ahead? Because right now, when they put a possibility to thought that okay, let's give Liam Livingston one more game, and if he fails, we could possibly brought in Johnny Bairstow. Now this guy has fired, and he looked like he's one of those guy who came with a reputation as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is it's a tricky period to be in, but I think they'll probably stick with Rajapaksa. I don't know; it's a very tricky thing to say,
Yeah.
but I will not be surprised if they change, and I'll not be even surprised if they play Johnny. So I think it depends completely on the side that they play, and then if
Right.
they feel that they need, because even today, if you see, they could have easily lost this game had the side batting second planned their innings
Right.
better, because 180 was chaseable on that deck. So. In that sense, it's very important to now see how they are shaping up, because Livingston coming good both with bat and ball, now he becomes undroppable. So the
Right.
only option then you're left with is probably drop an Orion Smith and play a Sandeep Sharma in his place, and then you play Johnny Bairstow as well. But I think that will probably weaken the bowling a bit, but I think they'll still be fine. So again, that's a very interesting option to try out if they want to do that.
Though Punjab is having a good time now, one player, everybody had their eyes on is Shah Rukh Khan at the start of the season, and because of the reputation at which he was coming into this IPL, he had a terrific domestic season, and he also got an India call up for the same reason.
Yeah.
Do you reckon the price tag, the sense of occasion, the sense of expectation is getting to him at this point? The last three innings when he came to bat, he just didn't look like he was comfortable in the crease.
Yeah, but I think that that can happen with sides as we discussed. This tournament is going to test a lot of people in a lot of different ways. You are switching venues, you are switching conditions, and the oppositions are now getting much smarter.
Right,
That everybody knows where to bowl to people. Like something that happened with MS, that every bowler, every spinner now knows that you can make MS dot you like just defend to you two covers. Like Bishu did that in West Indies, Naren
right,
did that, Hasaranga does it, Rashid Khan does it. Every spinner does that. You go back, make him go back and punch to cover, make him punch because that is an area where he hasn't still found an answer. So I think, as we said, same thing for Venkatesh here. Second
right.
seasons are harder. When
Mm,
there is expectations from you, then people are also looking at ways to
mm,
find out, okay, where is the weakness? Where can we stop this guy? So Shah Rukh will be tested, but the good thing is they'll still play on good batting decks. So I think there'll
right.
still be chance for him to come off, and it's probably that one knock that he wants that clicks for him, and then he just gets going from there.
Talking about Shah Rukh Khan, another batsman who made his debut today with Jitesh Sharma. He also has had a good amount of reputation on domestic circuit for his power hitting ability. He's one of those players which will make you wonder, oh wow, this guy can bat. And
Yeah.
it's one of those Tilak Verma kind of a player.
Yes.
The moment you see this kind of batsman, you are like, oh, I want to watch this guy bat. How impressed were you of this lad?
Yeah, again, just the one game, but I think very good to see whatever we've seen of him. And that is the great thing about the mega auction, that while a lot of teams have become sort of handicapped, there are these opportunities that the youngsters are now getting because they're playing key roles for key franchises. So
Right,
that is something. And see, the guys who are doing well up top are the guys who have found these guys to perform. I mean, the Badonis are performing, the Tilak Verma is performing, yet Mumbai may have lost two games, but they still have this potential to bank on. And
right.
that is probably something that Chennai is going to look at, that how do they find that balance from the local Indians and also the overseas, of course.
Absolutely. One stat which I saw of Ruturaj Gaikwad earlier today was his failures in the first three games
Yeah,
and his takeoff from there on. Should Chennai fans be actually happy just looking at the
yeah,
law of averages and his failures? Because now it is officially confirmed that he's failed in three games. Now, can we
yeah.
expect a big knock around the corner from Ruturaj Gaikwad? Or is it like the second season blues where it's kicking into him, the expectations are there. Now he's an India player as well. So how do you see the spectrum of Ruturaj Gaikwad?
I think it is a very interesting pattern because he started 2020 in the same way, and he started 2021 the same way, and now he
Right.
started 2022 the same way. So I think we'll be in a better position after three more games that Chennai plays, because if he finds his rhythm, then we know maybe this is just some sort of thing that is happening with him over three seasons. That maybe he's a poor starter, maybe he's a Mumbai Indians fan, who knows.
Possibly then possibly for next year, the fantasy players will at least know not to keep him in the
Yeah,
11
yes,
or not make
yeah.
him captain in the first three matches. So
True
fantasy
that.
players
True.
take a note and hope
Yep.
that he fires the next match. And in the
Yes.
fourth game, he scores big and he scores really big. So
Yeah.
watch out for this, lads. Now,
Yes.
talking about Chennai Super Kings itself, three games without getting off the mark. What is next for them, and how do you come back or bounce back from such situations? Of course, Mumbai Indians have done it. Some of the big franchises have always done it, and Chennai Super Kings have the metal to do it. They have the dressing room atmosphere to do it. They have the leadership to do it. Do
Yeah.
you really see them coming back out of it? Because now you have a traffic jam of teams already gotten off the mark, already except Chennai and Mumbai, of course all the teams are made a move with two wins or three wins in a row. So, do you reckon the Chennai still have a chance to come back and come back strong into the tournament?
They do for sure. I think, as you said, they have the potential. It's not that the players are bad. It's just about
Right.
them clicking together, and I think that is something that they'll look at. And it is going to be challenging for Ravindra Jadeja as well. I personally found it very good that he bowled today, even with Shikhar Dhawan at the crease, and he should have got Livingston early. And I think these are the problem areas for Chennai that they have to control the controllables in terms of take those sitters. I mean, Ambaduradu really dropped a like, a very silly catch, and see, these are very turning points of the games. If you take
Right.
key player out early, you are bringing the inexperienced guys earlier into the game, and maybe who knows, they could have kept them to 140 or 150, and then that becomes a completely different game for the two sides. So I think it's going to go back that they'll go back and look at the drawing board and find out that okay, these are the definite problem areas. I do think their balance today was still fine in terms of playing both Bradley earlier and also playing Chris Jordan, but I still feel they should play Mahesh Dikshina. He
Right.
could be the best spinner. He could run through sides up top, but they are missing new ball wickets. So again, it's about getting that new ball wickets and then building on it. Because today they let Livingston get away from them, and you don't want that to happen in every game. So I think their batting is still sorted because these guys are experienced enough and they'll find a way. But the bowling, I hope if they can stitch one good game together, then they'll probably start to gel well as a unit.
Right. I have an interesting question for you now. Ravindra Jadeja, we saw now three failures in a row is never easy for a captain. But then, do you reckon it's affecting him in some way because he's got to ball, he's got to bat, then he stands in those positions, which is in this hotspot positions like deep mid wicket, long on. Do you reckon he's able to control the team from these positions and also focus on his batting and bowling at the same time? Is it an added pressure this captaincy role for him at least?
I think I'm sure he had enough time to think about it. He had a full year to think about how he's going to go about it. So, and at times these things come with their own advantage and disadvantage. Captaining an IPL set is never easy, and he's probably experiencing it with first hand because this is the first time he's going to do it. I mean, he's been doing this, and he will probably take help of Fleming and Dhoni to get into this easier because it's not easy. As you said, three losses, even for an experienced captain, is not easy in this
Right.
league. So uh, he will be feeling the pressure, but he's a fighter. He's come back to the ODI setup and the T20 setup, and he's been a key part of the Test side. So he knows what
Absolutely.
is to be done to getting back to the best rhythm. So good test for him as a captain. Really looking forward to see how he can change this around.
Right, right, absolutely. Because you know that this guy's got the metal. He's got that nerves of steel to do these
Yeah.
kind of things as well. So now talking about Punjab, of course. Punjab, how impressed were you of Vaibhav Arora? You did mention you did dwell briefly into that. Vaibhav Arora has been a bowler who has made a lot of noise in the domestic circuit with his
Yeah.
in-swinging bowling. Are you quite
Yeah.
impressed with this guy? And should Punjab stick on with this 11 now that they've got success?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And again, as we said, when there is help, you want to make the most of it. There is no doubt about it. So, uh, Punjab will hope that he can continue this good run and ensure that he keeps taking new ball because then that eases the pressure on Kagiso to come good. So, if that can happen, then you have a very different Punjab because if you get new ball wickets, then your spinners are going to control the remaining of the period of time in much better way.
Right,
And they do have quality options in Brar, in Rahul Chair, and now of course Livingston bowling. It makes your side look completely different. So great to see Weber Varara getting the ball to move both ways up top. And again, I'll not read too much into it and hype him up because it's just one game. So
right.
hopefully he can do what he's best at, and then hopefully the results will also follow for him.
Right. Having said that, let me ask you about your fantasy performance for the day.
Yeah.
Nikhil, tell me, how did your day go in the fantasy platforms? Did you have a good day, or was it a day where you felt like, oh, I could have done better? Was it not a lemonade kind of a day?
It could have been a Lebanon kind of day because I did not go with my gut instinct that both the openers Mayank and Ruturaj will fail. Because
Okay,
we discussed as well that Mayank has an average of 16 against Chennai, and
right,
Ruturaj's third game was due that he was due for a failure in the third one. But I felt uh, because these conditions are good for batting, and I felt that what if there is no dew and these two openers come good? Because that is the risk with the openers. I mean, we saw Josh Butler getting dropped, and then he scored a good one, and Shikhar Dhawan also played well today. So it happens. I still got my investment back because I had everybody else. I had Liam Livingstone. and I had Bravo, I had Pretorius, I had Jordan. So that way I was covered for sure. But yeah, maybe could have done better if I just listened to my instinct first.
Yeah, if you're talking about listening to instincts and forming a pattern for that, you
Yeah.
have a course which is conducted by Nikhil in collaboration with Mad About Sports. Nikhil, I'll hand over to you to talk about it.
So yes, this is exactly what the course is about. In terms of when we do all this homework, it's then important to back it in terms of okay, now I have to believe. Again, today was one of the days that I expected the view to come in, and because you cannot rely on pitch reports that we see; they are not always accurate. So that can happen. But the point is, I was still in profit is because I had joined the right kind of contest. My
Right,
investment was such that I am still not in loss in this very IPL, and that I think is a massive factor that we are not always going to make great teams. We won't always have dominant days. We'll have days where nothing goes right. But even if on those days you can get something back, then that is going to ensure that you stay in this field for that much longer. So that is what the entire course that is about how to be in profit in fantasy cricket is about. It's about these small questions, these small processes
right,
we should follow in terms of selection of contests, platforms, which player to select, which kind of team
right.
select. It has everything, and it has already benefited a lot of people. So I hope a lot many more people will enroll, benefit from that, and maybe someday they can also be part of the shows somewhere, showing their big
Absolutely.
wins.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nikhil, for that. Thank you for joining on discussing a game which might have really hurt a lot of Chennai Super Kings fans. But IPL is a long tournament. There are a lot of things to look forward to. Every day is a new day. And tomorrow we'll be back again with you and also with
Yeah,
hopefully Jones and other people as well. So, having said that, thank you all for joining. And if you do not want to lose any of your finances, and if you want to play with for by not losing any finances, you know where to head to. It is Boomer 11. It's a risk-free platform. It's totally free to play. And do remember, this IPL, you can stand a chance to win prizes worth up to $5,000. And head on to our Instagram platform as well, where we give the latest sporting updates. We also give sporting memes and also fantasy tips. And we'll also have Nikhil helping you out to form 11 every day as well. So, having said that, good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the game and have a good time.
have a good day.